Get started, I want to just brief everybody on what are the 5 stages of a sales process, okay? And the important thing to remember is you need to go through each stage before you get to the next stage, because I'll show you what happens if you don't, okay? So let's go ahead and take a look at this piece of paper. So this is essentially the 5 stages of the sales process, right? So you start one stage, next stage, and all the way to the end, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I know that might be upside down right now, but I'll flip it over in a little bit. All right, let's go to Nadine. Nadine, do you remember what the first stage of the sales process is?
Identification.
Right. The first stage is identification. Why is identification important, Nadine?
Because we really need to observe and know who is our negotiation partner actually.
Right. Okay. So important. When you negotiate and you do sales and you do not know who you're talking to, then you are at a disadvantage because you will just say things that will not be relevant to the person you're speaking with. So you need to know who you're speaking with. For example, if I'm speaking with my teacher, I probably will use a different tone than if I'm speaking with my family or if I'm speaking with my daughter. So that's just something that most people do naturally. But when it comes to sales, we have to kind of think of it in terms of, okay, we want obviously to close the deal, to do the reservation. So we need to inhabit empathetically what is this person's identification. Okay, so that's step 1. Let's go to the second step, Nadine. What is the second stage of sales and negotiation? Step 2.
Build trust and engagement.
Right. So, okay, I'm going to have to write this upside down. I've never done upside down writing before. Okay, I think it's like this. If I get it right, then that's really good. Okay, so the second thing is you need to open up and build trust. Why do we have to open up and build trust? Let's go to Gray. Why is opening trust so important?
Because it can make them trust us more on our service and also what we provide, so it's more easily comfortable.
Okay, that's true. That's true. Let's keep on going. Let's go over to Alia. Alia, why do you think that after we identify somebody, we need to build trust before we go any further?
So the negotiation partner feels comfortable enough to share the information that we needed from them.
Excellent. Okay, right on, Sharon. If, let's say, for example, I come up to you, Sharon, as a stranger, I say, Sharon, can you tell me where you want to go? You'll be like, well, who are you, right? Oh, can you tell me how many people you want to go with? What's your budget? All these things. You're probably going to be like, why do you want to know this information, right? Is it to benefit me or is it to benefit you? So let's change that approach. Instead, I say, hey, Sharon, I'm Jing. I'm your host today. My mission is to make sure you have an excellent trip. In order to do that, I need to ask you a few questions, right? Now, you might think that I might be trying to bargain with you, but that is not the case. I'm trying to actually find out your needs so that we can match you to some of the beautiful properties that we have in our collection of 180 properties, right? So then they go, oh, I didn't know you had 180 properties. And oh, okay, you're doing this to help, not to do anything else. So that disarms and it presents trust to happen. Okay, once we have trust to happen, let's go back to Nadine. What's the third stage of the sales process?
Discovery.
Right. Why is discovery so important, Nadine?
So before you are actually rushing to offer your services or your product, you need to actually dig up what is this person really need and what is their problem.
Correct.
So you need to understand.
Excellent. And this is something that we see a lot of new people, they just don't do, right? So let's say, for example, somebody inquires to you and you go, oh, hey, that's great. Thank you for sending this inquiry. I have this, and this. I have a jacuzzi. I have an ocean view. I have a 5-bedroom villa. You guys experience this all the time probably with unskilled negotiators when you go to the marketplace. What do people say to you? They say, I have cheap, right? I have something cheap, buy this. And you go cringe, right? Like, is that the only thing I'm really looking for? So what if instead this person didn't offer you just something cheap? They actually understood what you needed. They actually understood that you're shopping for a gift for your mom because it's her birthday. And maybe cheap isn't the best way to go on this particular thing. Maybe it's something that has actually some more meaning. So a lot of problems that we see in negotiations happen because you have not discovered. Remember, if you don't sell, if you don't convert, generally it's not the problem of your client. It's your problem. You haven't understood much about what this person really wants. And if you haven't understood what they want, there's no way that you'll ever succeed in persuading them of why they should buy or transact on your product. So this part is where skilled negotiators spend the majority of their time. Now, Think of it this way. This is the model that can inspire you. A person walks into a grocery store. They just want to buy a pack of cigarettes, but the clerk is so skillful that they end up buying the store upon exit. How did that happen? What happened in the meantime? So it happens sometimes just very simply. Hey, okay, I see you're buying a pack of cigarettes. Is there anything else I can get you? No. Well, actually today there's a special on this and I see that you might be thirsty. Would you like a cold beverage? Yeah, okay, all right, here's a cold beverage. Since you're consuming this cold beverage and it's not too busy, let's talk. So, like what else did you have in mind? What's your plan today? Oh, well, I have to go to work and there's this thing that I got to do. There's this thing that you got to do. Well, that's interesting. Well, I have this thing over here that can help with that thing you got to do. And it's kind of not very expensive. Would you consider buying it? So these are ways that we can discover and potentially upsell and create opportunities for a particular guest. When you get an inquiry coming in through the inbox, I think a particularly skilled reservation person should not think of it as that's just an opportunity to close on one deal. That could be an opportunity to close on a month worth of travel. So person comes in, puts a booking inquiry for 2 days, but you discover that they're going to be in Bali for 2 months. So what are you going to do after here? Oh, I'm planning to go over here. Oh, that's great because I actually have a villa in that area. Would you like to take a few looks at the pictures, see if it's suitable for your trip? Sure, why not, right? I don't need to search, so, here you go. Did you find anything on that link that was helpful? Yeah, I was looking at this and this is really great. Yeah, actually, you're right. You told me earlier that you needed something for 5 people. This place has 3 bedrooms. Would that suit 5 people? It certainly would. Would there be a reason why you wouldn't make a booking right now? Because maybe, I don't know if there's any reviews or anything that is good. Well, good thing you told me because I remember a guest just checked out. They haven't left a review, but they did tell me that they had a great stay. Would that be sufficient at the moment? I'm glad you told me that because I was on the fence whether or not to actually purchase that or not. So discovery, discovery, discovery. The more skilled you are at discovering, the more value you can actually end up bringing to the guest, to the client, and to anybody, okay? So, all right, we're at discovery right now. Step 4, Nadine, what is the 4th step?
It's pattern matching.
Okay, what does pattern matching mean, Nadine?
Okay, so actually after you understand and discover the problems and what your customer really want, and then it's the time for you to actually match all the problems to our inventory so you can connect all the objections to the benefits and everything.
Excellent. Okay, what's a common mistake that you see early people who are trying to do inquiries they make? What's like kind of one of those things that like a real rookie mistake that you often see?
It's the lack of discovery, so that affecting the wrong pattern matching.
Correct. Okay, let's go to Alia. Alia, have you ever seen people do this? They will just come up to you and they will just name whatever their product has. They'll be like, hey, I have a cheap pen. It has black ink. You should buy it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What is the problem there?
It's because I feel like the person is just giving all of whatever is in his inventory, and I feel like he doesn't care enough about what I want.
Right. So when you don't care about what they want, then you can't be helpful. Let's say, for example, Alia is talking to me and she figures out, oh, Jing, what are you doing today? Oh, it's a big day. I have a contract. I'm going to go sign it. And I don't know about the negotiations and everything. It might go one way or the other. Now, Alia says, well, when you come to the moment where you're going to sign that contract, Jing, will you need a pen? I'll go like, yeah, I might. Would you need a black pen? Because I understand most contracts, to be legal, they need to be black. Yeah, I might. Okay. Would you like this black pen here? And then
Yep.
I would go, yeah, okay. But if I just go, black pen, cheap, 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 it's like, okay, it's different, right? So we have to understand a little bit more about the discovery before we pattern match. And that's a common mistake a lot of people do. They will offer without understanding the discovery. Okay, and then the last stage, Nadine, what should we do at the very end?
Close to a decision.
Right. We need to reach a decision. And we do this all the time, actually, within the company as well. We have outcomes for each of our particular discussions. We don't end a discussion just with, okay, that's it, right? So if you've done all your work, chances are that this person now has your respect, they have your trust, and so you should be able to get a legitimate answer. A no at this point is a good outcome. It's not a great outcome, but it's a good outcome, right? A non-response right now would be a very unusual outcome. So they just leave you kind of hanging. You should not ever reach that. That is the worst type of outcome, which is a non-response. No, ghosted. So if you've gotten ghosted, it means they either don't trust you or they don't believe that you're actually out there to sort of look after their best interest, or they just don't see any point, right? And that means the other steps have not actually succeeded. But you do need to reach some decision at this point. Are you ready to be my next customer today? No. Okay, I understand that. Let's go back to the discovery. Was there something I missed in understanding your needs, right? Did I understand incorrectly when your timing should be? So that can be a way to restart the process again. Okay, are you ready to be my customer today? Yes. Okay, great. So you've already succeeded. Depending upon how you close, you will get some sort of response. But to get no response is always a failure. To get some response allows you to then go back to the correct stage to build trust again, or to discover again. Now, here's the thing. You cannot build trust with a person you cannot identify, right? So if you go up to old people and you go, "What's up, man? How you doing? Are you chilling or what?" And they're like, "I'm 60 years old. Why do you talk to me like I'm a gangster kid from, LA," right? So you need to be able to identify the person correctly in order to start getting to this level. Let's go to Sharon. Sharon, if you don't build enough trust, can you do any of the other stages below?
No.
Why not? Why will that not work?
I think you can, but the result will not be the best one.
Why won't the result be the best if you haven't built any trust at this stage?
Because the client or the customer won't tell you what they want.
Right. You won't be able to discover. They might tell you some things like, "Oh, I'm just shopping," or, "I haven't made up my mind," or "I don't know what I'm going to get." You might hear all these excuses, but you're not going to hear the real problem. The real problem is, I don't really know if I can tell you what I really want, because I don't know if you're going to try to overcharge me or not, right? That needs to come out first. Now let's go over to Gray. Gray, a lot of clients, if you do feel them resisting, right? They're not telling you everything they need. How would you use a particular device to overcome that fear?
Device.
Yeah. What tactic could you use to overcome if a particular guest or person doesn't really trust you and they won't really tell you what they are actually looking for a particular trip?
Probably try to either label
Oh,
to get
okay.
something out of them.
Okay, you could label, right? But what is there? Okay, you could say, "Looks like maybe you're not comfortable telling me everything that you are actually feeling." Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Like that.
That's a great way to have tactical empathy. You label the situation and say what it is, right? So if you're asking these questions and not being forthcoming, then you say, "Seems like we're not really getting to understand what your true intentions are for this trip," right? Okay, let's go over to Wayana. Wayana, what's another tactic that you can use to get trust if you're not being able to discover here? Oh, babe, you're muted.
I think you can ask like basically what they need, because hey, normally what I ask is, "Hey, I want to be efficient, like how I can help you, like what kind of villa that you're looking for," like more like to the question that narrow down what they need actually.
Okay, interesting. So you're using a calibrated question, right? How would you like it if I offered you a villa that looked like this? What would you say if your options started looking like these particular things? Okay, let's go to Nadine. What's the really juicy answer that I'm really, really excited about here? What's the answer that really gets trust to form?
It's an accusation audit.
An accusation audit. Can you give me an example of an accusation audit that would really get somebody to start disarming and thinking about how to cooperate with us?
Okay, so for example, like if you are trying to approaching a stranger to offer your product and everything, they must be suspicious, right? Because you're a stranger and talking to them, and you can just say it like, "Hey, you're probably wondering, I'm a stranger. Why am I here and talking to you? And you probably think that I'm gonna waste your time here, but I'm actually want to getting to know you and everything." And you can just clarify all the things that you want to do with him.
Excellent.
So
Fantastic. That's a great accusation audit, right? Now, okay, I'm going to take that idea, and since I was in the room, I'm going to apply this to HR, okay? So this one's a little bit more intense, but this is something that HR maybe you feel when you're talking to somebody in HR, right? One-on-one discussion, that time of the month, and they're asking you questions. They're asking you like, "Hey, how long do you plan to be at Bukit Vista? Are you happy with your salary right now?" These really personal questions. And you might go, "Am I supposed to answer this truthfully? Or do I really know what to say here, right? Is there anything on your team that you've seen that doesn't fit core values?" Okay, so that is something we've noticed that this is why I would say was pretty exciting, right? That's going into discovery without going into asking for trust first, right? And the kind of answers that you're going to get might not actually be the answers that are actually truthful. So if I was in HR, I would say this, right? Well, you might think HR is just getting in your business, and you might think this might have something to do with how you're going to be employed or your career stage at this point. But I'm here just to tell you that we're just doing this for transparency and learning more about how we can positively transform our employees, right? Accusation audit. So something that's tangible, something that you can all feel, right? Okay, so these are essentially the 5 stages. These are the golden 5 stages of actually how to, yes, all right, yeah, I'm glad you saw that. So without doing this in the right sequence, you will never get to a close. But if you do it in the right sequence and you do it well, you should always be able to see some response at the very end. Okay, if you get very lucky and everything all lines up, then you should be able to get not just one sale, but multiple sales. Because guess why? A person who trusts you already believes that you're probably a better channel to go through than to go back up all the way to the top, deal with another stranger, deal with another opportunity that isn't maybe there, and then repeat the entire process. Okay? So this is how we build a brand. This is how we build a culture. This is how we build something really incredible. All right? These 5 particular steps. Now, the thing I want to actually illustrate is this. This particular chapter is going to use the 5-step method as a framework for all of our discussions from now on. So the way it works is we take a look at each particular type of problem that comes in. We try to then identify who is the category of person that we're talking with, right? Then how do we build trust with that particular category of person? What do we do in our discovery to understand their needs? How do we pattern match what we have available with what they are looking for? How do we then end and close the deal? What are some of those options, okay? So I wonder if Kyla is in the room today. Kyla, you there?
Kyla is still on her class.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna have to do this then today. Nadine, could you be my secretary today? Share the screen, and we'll try to take a look at some cases, okay? But the end product of the discussion here in this chapter should be guidelines, okay? So each time we discuss a case, we will actually write a guideline to go with that specific case. The end result of that is that I can take a new person, brand new people like Mutia, like Febi, who have been just a few days here, and I can give them this information and they can just follow that and they can do as well as a more experienced person, okay? This is what we talk about when we talk about writing scripts, giving people a harpoon so that they can capture a whale. All right, let's go ahead and begin. So far, are there any questions so far about this particular 5-step method from anybody? Let's go to Great. Do you have any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, let's go to Ara. Ara, welcome to the Conversion Club. Do you have any questions, ma'am?
No, it's been interesting. I'm still observing on what you guys are, the context more on. But yeah, it's been an interesting topic, sir.
Okay, fantastic. Let's go to Rafik. Rafik, do you have any questions?
I think it's one thing, sir.
Yes, sir.
Which part is confident? Identify?
Which part is confidence?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Could you clarify that question, Rafik?
This is about the sales and everything about your product, right? To guess what do you guess needed, right?
A little bit broader than that, Rafik. This
Yeah,
is a guideline for any type of persuasion.
Yeah.
You could use this to talk to your wife. You could use this to, you could use this to negotiate with your kids. It is pretty much, I thought about it, and this works for almost every case.
Yeah. That is the want to clarify. The competency is part of identify.
The confidence.
Yeah. If you don't confident to talk with them.
Oh, confidence is different, right? Confidence isn't so much a technique, everyone. Confidence is a feeling that comes from experience, and it comes from, I think, just a result of knowing where you're going to go, right? So is it important to be confident in sales? Of course. If you're not confident, then you will probably not make anybody else more confident. It's just a matter of leadership. When I think of persuasion in sales, I think of it as a way of leading. You're leading somebody who doesn't know by showing them through their own perception what they should know, okay? So in terms of confidence, is confidence a result or is confidence a method? Generally, confidence is a result of knowing the method correctly. If you know the method correctly, if you know what you should say, if you're well practiced, then this is very, very fun. It's like playing a game. You're trying to unlock a puzzle. Nadine feels it. Wyanna feels it. I think some of our senior people, they feel it. It feels like you're kind of doing a hunt, right? You know, they're going this way, you're trying to go this way, and you work around each other. That is when you start building your confidence. When you first do it, it might be like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. But with practice, with the right mindset, everybody should be able to do this, because this is something that actually, this skill is probably one of the most master skills that you should acquire during your time at Bukit Vista and in your life. If you can do this well, you should be able to lead well, you should be able to delegate well, and you should be able to actually get things that are amazing really, really well. Okay? So with that, then comes confidence, because you realize, wow, I can get whatever I really want out of these engagements that I have. Most of the time when people do sales, they feel I'm not going to win, right? But practice this method and you should win most of the time. Okay? The rest is up to you. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and take a look and see what we have here. Now, we're going to do this now. If we do see a particular case and it is not a case that is really, we're going to try to stick to advanced sales techniques, okay? So last discussion I think we saw a lot of the issues were with not motivated, whatever. We're going to just skip that now. We're going to have personal one-on-one discussions for those cases, okay, Nadine? Those are more personal motivation cases. We're going to save the really good cases where there is difficult situations that we need to navigate through. That is the good material that we're going to talk about during these discussions. Okay, let's dive in. All right, let's take a look. Where should we begin, Nadine?
Yeah, I think we can start with the Kyla case.
Okay, let's take a look. Okay, Nadine, set me up. Tell me what the situation is.
Sure. So this is actually our business development team,
Okay.
Kyla, trying to approach some of the property owner.
Okay.
So she said that, hello, Pak, this is Kyla Vista. We are looking for property that is a match with our demand because this is our peak season.
Okay.
So, and then the owner said that, okay, for which date? And then Kyla said that we're still unsure about the dates, but can I make sure how many bedrooms is this homestay have? And then the owner said that, please make sure the dates first. And then Kyla said that for the dates, it will be various because mostly it's our reservation team who handle it. But now my task is to looking for the property that can be offered to our guests.
Okay.
And then Kyla is directly asked for, can we have a talk for like 10 minutes?
Okay.
And then the property owner said, I don't know Bukit Vista itu apa ya? And then I said that, yeah, we are property management we manage property and we also manage to marketing.
Okay.
Can I call you, Pak? And then the property owner said that, no, I by aja. Can we just continue by chat? Ask you, can I call?
Okay.
And then the owner said that, no, I don't want to call.
Okay.
If you're sure about the dates, just let me know. And
Okay.
then, where did you get my number? And then he said, I got it from Google Maps and everything. And then Kyla did the acquisition audit here. Probably Patria would see me as the agent, but we have different mechanism and everything, And then the owner only left it by the emoji.
Okay, all right. So they left with that. Okay, does anybody want to give some commentary on how they believe this conversation went? Let's go to Febby. Febby, who do you believe controlled that conversation? Was it Kyla or was it the owner?
I think the owner, sir.
Okay. And why do you think the owner controlled that conversation?
Because when Kyla over like an offer or like asking a favor, like calling, they just like receive and still on there. Can we just like on chat or please confirm dates first?
Okay, got it. Okay, interesting. So let's go over to Sharon. Sharon, what would you do to try to get more control over this particular conversation?
I feel like I will try to ask something more personal about the property, like how long has this property has been operating, etc.
Okay, if you ask that, would that distract or would that reinforce the direction that you want to bring the conversation?
Could be reinforced depending on the owner answer, because I feel like the owner is not really into this conversation.
Let's go back to this graph, Sharon, right? What stage is missing here?
I think the trust one.
Right. They don't seem to trust, right? Why do you know that they don't seem to trust?
Because they don't know about our company.
All right. Good point, right? Okay, they don't know about our company. So let's go to Nadine. Nadine, if we were to fix this, where would you begin?
Obviously begin with, we need to fix the identification stage as well.
Okay.
So we know that this is property owner that actually live in Jogja, right, Kyla?
Okay.
So the behavior and the wording should be different as well. Jogja is more, like soft, very, you really need to if you can use some of the Japanese language a little bit, they will be much appreciated. Like hello, sugeng pa, and then monggo or gi gitu. That's the identifications, right? You know that this property owner is from Jogja, and then also to build the trust. So instead of only saying that ini saya dari Bukit Vista, they don't know what Bukit Vista is, right? And they don't know what Bukit Vista do gitu. So if you want to say ini Pak saya dari Bukit Vista itu property di kita helping owners to bring the guests to their property. Nah, baru it makes sense. Oh, okay, mereka bawa-bawain. And then yes, and the accusation audit, I think you're late, Kyla, at the very beginning for the accusation audit. That's
Okay. What would happen if Kyla used this accusation audit at the second response? What would you think this person would say?
These people will get more context about Bukit Vista,
Right.
and then the suspicions juga will be reduced gitu, Kyla. So gain more trust.
Okay, very good. I do see that Kyla is trying to mirror a little bit here, right? The owner asks untuk tanggal, and then she says untuk tanggal, right? That's a partial mirror there. But let's go to Wayana, babe. Gray actually said something. Great. Why don't you jump in, Gray?
Oh yeah, no, I just say like, can we also give like a definite date too, instead of saying that it varies because it's unsure and just inquiring?
You can.
Because it seems like Kyla kind of approach in like, I don't know how many guests I will bring.
You can, but will you have won the negotiation if you give a date?
Yeah, I think that's also what Kyla says, because it'll give the persona of us being a guest.
Well, here's the thing, right? This is actually pretty important. So we have to actually ask ourselves, why is Kyla doing this? Is she trying to get a booking, or is she trying to get a partnership? Okay. Now, if she's trying to get a booking, then the date is very important, because it's just, okay, give you the date. Can I get some availability here? But if you're trying to get a partnership, then the booking isn't so important. It's establishing communication for developing a partnership, right? So we need to somewhat control this conversation to go in a direction where we can actually explore partnership opportunity. So giving a date is great, but what if the date is unavailable? Then our conversation is done, right? No, it's not done, right? We need to kind of keep the fire going. This is just a way of getting a conversation started, right? So that we can have deeper conversations. So whether or not we give a date or not is kind of immaterial in the end purpose if we want to acquire a partner. What we want to do is we want to build trust. Okay, let's see. Does anybody else have any ideas of how we can build trust here? Let's go to Wayana. Babe, what do you think?
I think I agree with Nadine first, the tone of the messaging, because that's how, because if we are like talking with a stranger, like the tone is the first impression that from them actually.
Very good.
And also like from there, so need to understand, like discover a bit more, like, hey, how's your property doing? Actually looking for you that need more gas, so that's what I'm doing. You think you are the person that need more gas, or you already filled up or something, so that I'm sorry, like 100% occupancy, like, and then there is no urgency, right? So
yes. Okay, fantastic. Nadine has actually issued a pretty interesting response. She would say, yes, Pat, I'm preparing the list of specific dates to be sent to you. Great. In the meantime, do you have time to talk about the mechanism? It would be for a number of various requests. Beautiful. Okay. So that is a very agile response that acknowledges that their question is important, but we're going to delegate that to another time. In the meantime, let's talk about strategy. Let's talk about how we're going to do this more times, right? So that can be a very effective approach. So the key thing to remember here is this. Let's think about the strategy here. If we get to this particular position, we know that we have not built enough trust. So we need to go back and think about, do we have the trust? And we need to work on identifying the person correctly so that we know how to build trust, okay? So the failure point was at the trust level. The possible options that you can use, we've discussed. 1, accusation audit. Do you think I'm just a regular agent here? But I don't want to waste your time, and I hope you won't waste mine. I really want to actually find ways to inspire delight by providing you guests that will be happy at your property. Let's talk about dates, specific dates later while my reservation team works on it, but I want to do more business. So can we talk about what is the correct mechanism, right, to secure more than just one booking, right? So if we offer that type of solution, generally people will be like, okay, cool, right? Now, you have a few more ways that you can, a few more tools that you can use. You can use the accusation audit. You can also show, don't tell. You can show perhaps pictures of who you are, right? So that, you know, they know who you are. You can be like, hi, I'm, you know, these types of ways. You're asking somebody to trust you. They don't know what you look like. They don't know what organization you represent. You don't have a website or anything. So a lot of times, remember, in business, we just simply show up with a business card, and that can open the doors to many beginning business relationships. That can be another mechanism, another device that you can use as well. So here's my card, here's my identification, this is who I am, and this is what I want to talk to you about. You don't know what the owner actually thinks you are. They might think, are you from the government? Are you here to tax me? Are you here to spy? Are you my competitor and looking for a way to understand my calendar? So you don't really know what's going on in their mind. So at least what you can do is identify yourself first as well, right? In addition with identifying the other counterparty. Great. I think we have a good strategic and some tactical devices we can use in this particular situation. Let's give it a shot next time, Kyla, and see if we're able to get a little bit further in this situation. Great. Let's go ahead and take a look at another particular scenario. Before we move on, does anybody have a question? No? Good? Okay. All right, let's continue. Next, example 2. Let's see, Nadine, let's open this up and let's take a look.
Okay, I think this is still from Kyla, yeah. Okay, so this is in the middle of conversation, and then Kyla asked that how is your property occupancy right now? Seems like it's crowded in the end of the year. And then the owner said, do you want to rent or are you looking for another person? And then I said, yes, Pa, I'm looking for my guests. And then the owner said, oh, okay, if you want to book, you can book by Airbnb or booking.com and there is another property as well that is on progress to build. And then Kyla said that, okay, may I know about your new property? When is the projections that it will be finished? And then we could help to bring the guests as well. And then the owner said that, I cannot tell right now because the progress is still very slow. And then Kyla said that, okay, for the first property, we are able to offer it to our guests. Yeah. And then the owner said that, yes, just book on Airbnb because I know from Airbnb, guests are well selected. And then Kyla said, yes, right, Airbnb is reliable. And then how about direct booking, Pak Tommy? Do you accept it? And then the owner said that, I need to. Actually, I don't say any. I don't know what's the problem, Kyla. I mean, this owner left you no response or what?
Okay, let's take a look and understand what really happened here. Febby, when the owner says I need to talk to my wife, what does that really mean?
I'm sorry, sir. I have lost my connection.
Okay, when the owner says I need to talk to my wife, what does that really mean?
Maybe he's not unsure with his answer, and maybe his wife needs all of his property.
I think that's very forgiving. Okay, all right, let's go to Sharon. Sharon, what do you think it means when somebody says I need to talk to my wife?
I think he's unsure.
Right.
His character say yes.
Okay, all right. Is it a yes?
I think no.
Right. It's. Do you think that this person will get back to us?
50-50.
Okay. All right. We'll keep on waiting then. Yeah. All right. Kyla, did they ever get back? He did come back. It's okay. Fantastic. Okay, you're right, Sharon. Sharon is correct. She is. Good thing we use data in this particular case. Most of the time when you're doing sales, when a person, this is what we would call an escape, right? They're basically trying to escape the particular decision. So they say, I need to talk to my wife, I need to check the weather, I need to whatever it might be, right? The key to recall here is that you probably haven't really understood their circumstance very clearly yet, right? You don't understand why they keep on telling you to book on Airbnb. You don't understand how they feel about this particular situation. So this is kind of awkward because we also work on Airbnb, right? So we need to make some decisions here. All right, let's go to Nadine. Nadine, what would you do in this circumstance? What would you improve?
I think the problem is if we offer that we will market your property in Airbnb, they will feel like I'm on Airbnb too.
Right.
I don't need you. You can take over my account and everything, right?
Right.
The only thing that we can do is actually observe their own listing. Is there anything that we can improve from their listing?
There you go.
That we could do that never been done before from their side.
Excellent.
That is
Okay, really good. Listen, now this is where the business of guests and partners is slightly different. Okay, so pay attention closely. We have a policy here at Bukit Vista where we do only exclusive partnerships with our partners. We do that so that our hospitality, air support, and reservation teams don't have any conflicts on the calendar later with bookings from the owner. So the good work that our business development team is doing is there to ensure that we have a calendar that is only available to Bukit Vista guests. Okay, so at the very beginning, we have identified this particular owner as a particular owner who already has their own booking system, right? They have their own Airbnb, they have their own booking.com. Let's go to Gray. Great. Does that mean we can't work? Oh, no. Let's not go to Gray. Let's go to Mutia. Okay. Let's go to Mutia. Mutia, does that mean we cannot work with such a partner if they have their own system already?
No, we still can like having a partnership with the partner. Even the platform is the same.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
But is it safe for us to have them operate at the same time as us on the same platform in terms of?
No. We're going to like a different name and branding.
Okay, great. So Mutia got the answer right. So if we do take over, then we have to use one system, right? Either we have to take over their account or we have to make a new listing for them. We cannot have two separate accounts because that results in overbookings and situations that don't inspire delight. All right, so Nadine, what guidelines should we use for this particular case?
for how to, I think for this one, observing their inventory before. I actually it's included on the identification stage though. Like you need to observe as well, either than the persona, you need to observe the property as well, and then their inventory, then all of the asset. Yeah, but I think so far we only focusing on identifying the persona of the owner itself, but there is no guideline yet for observing their asset as well.
We have this guideline. Remember, everyone, this is a category. So for everybody who hasn't seen this before, this is something that the BD team has worked on before we transitioned to CODA. All right. So these are essentially evolutionary roadmaps. These are ways to pitch to partners that we've developed. Same format as what we talked already, right? Oh, it's already moved to CODA. Fantastic. Okay. So this is an owner with an existing management, right? He's self-managing, actually. So we've identified him as a person who self-manages. All right. So we should open up, perhaps, to build trust with accusation audits. I understand you've been working on the property for some time. I understand that you already have Airbnb and Booking.com. And then we need to go to identify what our purpose is, right? I understand you've been working really well on Airbnb and Booking.com. We also do the very same thing. Would it be possible to discuss a way that we can optimize your performance on these platforms so that you can be the number one listing in Jogja, right? So that you can have an opportunity to become the number one listing. That's a better way to phrase it. If you promise too much, then, but we promise an opportunity, okay? So this is a case of where we already have some framework already for how to approach the situation. Okay, based on that, we then can kind of go deeper. What is their motivation? Do we understand why they want to manage by themselves, right? You have many options in your life. Why do you want to do this full time? Why have you decided to take your own bookings and such? We need to understand in that discovery what they feel. Maybe they feel that they've trusted an agent before or a property manager before and it failed. It did it very badly. We need to know that before we offer anything else, okay? So I would try in Kyla's case, right, to just really get to a point where we can have a discussion. Okay. And in Kyla's case, I think this needs to be upfront. We need to acknowledge that we also do the same thing as what they do, right? And not keep on chipping on that direct booking angle. Because if we keep on going down that angle, then the longer you leave a situation unaddressed, the more they're going to think you're an agent, right? You keep on wanting to bring direct bookings to me, and so you must be an agent, okay? So you need to confront that really, really upfront and not go around the issue. You say, well, I'm a property manager. I also use Airbnb, but I use it for 180 properties. Would you like to be the 181st property on our inventory? And then they'll start asking you questions. Why should I do that? Well, that's a good question. Maybe if you have 5 minutes, I can tell you why you should do that, right? So you want to steer the conversation in a direction that actually makes sense for you. the longer you kind of go to that side, okay, the longer you go to down their direction, you follow their side, the more you get further and further away from where you want to be. So this is really important in negotiations. If you want to negotiate, don't move where you should be the one asking the questions. You should be the one directing where the conversation is going to go. But if you go too much and get directed by your client, eventually you'll find yourself in a situation that's really hard to extricate from, right? You keep on asking for direct bookings, you keep on asking for that. But okay, later on when you want to take over their Airbnb account, why should they do that, right? So at the very beginning, just say this is what you do. And you want to reach a quick no early. Fail fast in negotiation, okay? So you don't want to go through all this thing and then get them in a meeting and then they say, no, I'm not interested. If you tell them, this is who I am, this is what I do, I identify yourself really well, right? Then they can tell you no up front. You can discover then really quickly. Why do you want no, right? If you're already in discovery, right? If you've moved to discovery and they're asking why, you've already made progress, okay? But if you don't have trust yet, you haven't identified yourself or the client yet, then you are just over here. And this is why you cannot close the deal, because they don't trust you yet. You haven't discovered anything about them. There's no pattern matching, and then there's no deal. Okay. I know this for the people who are working on the guest funnel. In guest funnel, getting a booking is the deal, right? So you need to take this as an analogy rather than as a direct instruction. Okay. You need to understand kind of like the abstraction here, but the same principle applies. Okay. All right. That's my advice for this particular case. Identify yourself as early as possible as somebody who has the same thing. It's okay, right? They can say no if they really want to say no. There's no reason to let that conversation go and get steered into a direction that is not what we do, okay? So this is where we need to help others help themselves too as well. Because if we don't do anything, then we just deficit the problem and we drop it on HAR, okay? All right, good. Hopefully that makes sense. Sharon, what do you think about that? Is that the root problem here in this particular case?
Yes, I agree with what you said.
Okay, all right. So ID. Okay, cool. Let's keep on going. I'll stop sharing my screen and let's go over to Nadine with the screen share. Who was sharing the screen before? Was it Alia or Alia? Please share the screen again.
Okay, so everyone, you can pin my presentation to the main screen again because I'm already screen sharing.
Oh, okay. I don't know how to do that. How do we?
Oh, okay. Then that's fine. I'm going to reshare.
Okay, thanks. Okay, what's happening in the comment section? Okay, it's already moved to Coda. Yep, okay. All right, let's see. Who else is
we can go directly to the Alia's case. Is it there? Oh,
It's missing because
I don't know why.
I think because several people added on the same blog, so I think it went missing.
Can you just share screen your case?
Yeah. Wait, I can.
We can live stream it, Alia.
Okay, let's
Or
just
WhatsApp
go to the gray case.
Okay,
because
great.
This one for the guest funnel. That's great.
Yes, so for this one, we managed to convert a booking, but turns out there's a pricing error from BI. How can we negotiate with the guest when there's no other alternative property and the price is much higher?
All right.
It's really basic actually, but it needs to kind of be mastered for
Okay,
this.
this is great. Thank you for the transparency here. Great. Let me try to understand. Is the actual price higher than what we sold to the guest, or what?
Yep, it's like 2-3 mil difference.
Oh, I see. So now they need to pay more, right, than they expected.
Yep, they only have made a down payment yet for 1 mil, so it's still not a deal.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
That's an interesting case. Ooh, that is tough. Let's go to Nadine. Nadine, what would you do in this particular situation?
Yeah, this is tough indeed, actually. But we need to be transparent as well. See, we can still negotiate, but still need to be transparent. We need to admit that this is probably our fault, right? Both to the owner and also to the guest.
Very good.
Yes. So actually, if in this case, usually I will go like this. I will go to BI, and then we share task. Okay, I communicate with the guest, and you need to communicate with the owner. Okay, which one win? We go to that
and
side.
an update. Actually, Kak Lilis have update. The owner doesn't want to receive it because the amount is that low. So that's why it's just a matter of
Okay. Yeah, I think that
communicating to the
the
guest.
only way is this gray. We cannot force to, what is that? The only thing left is to make them understand and show that we are willing to help. we will try to, what is that? Just being transparent, let them understand, make them understand, and then show that we are willing to help to and responsible to our, like, offering the other property and then such, and being exist and present to the guests. That's it.
Okay. Really good approach, Nadine. That's actually a superior approach. Let's see. This one, Gray, there's a bit of two things going on, right? Maybe three things going on. There's a bit of an integrity issue, right? Are we going to be truthful about what happens? Are we going to pay for the mistake, right? So that's number one. Number two is like Nadine said, what can we negotiate with the guest and what can we negotiate with the owner? So you have like these three things happening. There's a bit of a management issue too as well. So I'll kind of cover this in the best way that I can. In this particular case, we should be truthful. We should say, apparently there has been a mistake and the mistake is on our side. We have incorrectly priced it, okay? So who is the responsible party? Apparently it's the person who priced it. So we need to have integrity and actually point that out, okay? Now the problem is on our side. The problem is not with the owner, right? We have to remember that. The problem is not with the guests. We have to remember that. They did the right thing. The problem is actually on our side, okay? So we have to then think about, all right, how can we negotiate, a solution here? So what are we prepared to give? You can come to me first, right? You should probably negotiate with me. We made this mistake. How much are we prepared to pay for it, right? And I'll tell you a number, let's say $1 million, okay? So you should probably get that because that's going to be a helpful resource, okay? So you have that. And then you can negotiate. You can go to the guest and you can say, hey, look, we've made a mistake and I'm going to be upfront to you, right? Here's what's happening. This is the sequence of things and we made a mistake here, okay? Would it be possible? I've already taken a look. I've seen all the options here. You can take a look at them too yourself, right? You can supply other evidences. And these are the best alternatives I can find. But I still think this is probably the best thing you should go for. Would it be the end of the world, right? Accusation audit, right? Would it be the end of the world if you paid another $1 million to actually secure this booking? They might be upset, right? That's okay. It's normal to be upset. Why did you... this is where you actually use tactile empathy. Sounds like you're upset. And I totally understand. If somebody did this to me, I'd be upset too. Yeah, damn right, this is upset. I'm not paying for this. It sounds like you are outraged that this mistake could happen. You're very right, I'm outraged. This should never happen. We did the holiday and everything. It sounds like you have a lot riding on this holiday. You're right, I got my mom and you just keep on labeling, keep on mirroring, keep on labeling, keep on mirroring, all right? And eventually they calm down. And after they calm down, you go, okay, so I completely understand your situation now. You've told me quite a lot, and I almost feel like we can be friends. So we still need to make a decision, though. So what's it going to be, right? Are you ready to pay another $1 million to actually secure this holiday booking? You seem like very passionate about it. It's very important for your family holiday, and I completely understand. And in addition, I will offer what Jing said is okay, right? We will cover this part. Could you cover just the rest, okay? And that's how you can get them up. Same with the owner, right? Exact same situation with the owner. Go to the owner and how could you do that? I trusted you to do all this thing right for me. I understand. It sounds like we let you down this time. You're damn right you let me down. Why did I pay you for this thing? Sounds like you're not getting much value out of this relationship. Well, yeah, if you did your job right, then I would get some value out of this relationship. Sounds like you know what you really want to do, right? You're right. You just kind of keep on labeling, mirroring. Eventually, they get over it, right? Usually people make unrational decisions if they think, 1, they can't trust you. 2, you don't have their best interests at heart. 3, you're unempathetic. You don't care that they're losing money. So you just approach with accusation, labeling, and mirroring, and you take 10 minutes. Do this usually on the phone. If you get really good at this, you can do it on the phone. It's 10 times more effective than if you chat back and forward, because when you're chatting back and forward, you're losing, they're going to do something else, and then you write, and you don't have that engagement time, right? So get on the phone, talk to them, label, mirror, and eventually they calm down, and you say, okay, we need to make this work. The guest is going to come tomorrow, so how about we do this, right? Does this sound like a deal? And they'll go, okay, fine. And that's what I mean at the very beginning. You master these tactics, and you can get the outcome that you want in most discussions. Otherwise, you go whichever way the others take you. I think we've run out of time, right? But my approach would be, this is generally a feeling issue, right? And this is a guilt issue. So by shifting the guilt, shifting the blame, it will never work because they'll know, okay, is the guest's fault? Okay, it's the guest's fault. Make them pay, right? Is it your fault? You've already come up front. You've told them, hey, this is a mistake. We made this thing, and this is what we need to do next, right? So then they know where to focus their thing. In negotiation, never try to avoid the biggest elephant in the room. That's never a good way because then eventually they'll come up with a solution. You'll be like, that's not really a solution because you haven't defined your position carefully. You haven't defined your position well. So define your position and then use that position to go to where you need to go. Okay, that's pretty much how I would try to resolve this situation, Gray. Okay, label, mirror, accusation, audit. You know, like, hey, you might think I'm the most terrible reservation person in the world. You might think I'm a terrible person for making you pay this more money. But what I'm really trying to do is I'm really trying to get you into the holiday that you actually deserve. There's been a mistake, and this is what it is, right? And I'm glad you find some humor in it, and hopefully your client will too, right? But it's I know it's not very natural for people to do this, but what we're trying to learn is how to positively transform. So we don't want a natural, whatever default way of thinking. We're trying to think of how to do things in an advanced way. Okay? All right. Back to Nadine.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. I hope everyone learned new things everyone in this room. And yes, that is actually very, basically all the principle is the same for all the 5 stages. Yeah, sometimes, but what makes it various and also how we see Jing is kind of like mind blowing is the wording that you choose. Actually, that you need to be, it's the matter of practice and experience as well. So be active. The seniors, the leaders is also available, like Wayana, me, and also Kyla, Gray is active in Discord. So if you guys having this difficult negotiation case, you can just jump to the Discord and then we can help to solve together. That's it. So I really encourage every one of you guys to actually be active. You want to really master this